are rounding the bend with our celebration of amazing women for Women's History Month. Today, I had to end with one of my friends from one of the best schools on the planet, Howard University. So we're going to be talking to her in a moment, and we've actually gotten to be friends because she has been my partner in crime for the last year and a half on our local alumni association here. So I'm excited to have this conversation with her. This is, of course, the Leaders Lounge. I am Dawn Marie Morris. And the Leaders Lounge is your place as leaders to come and get all of your leadership goodness, tips, tools, strategies, and of course, a place to just relax and exhale as leaders of people. The Leaders Lounge is an outgrowth of my business, which is the World Class Training Institute, where we seek to maximize human capital, and we do that through the delivery of leadership and professional development training programs. So everything in your wheelhouse, from everything that's in our wheelhouse are tools that you need to be your best as leaders. So from delegation skills, time management, strategy, systems thinking, visioning, emotional intelligence, personality assessments, conflict resolution, all of the tools to help you be better in leading people is in our wheelhouse. So please connect to us at the World Class Training Institute, worldclasstraining.net. And right before I bring my guest on, we have a program coming up soon. It is called From Vision to Voice. It is a training to help leaders to be better as they are communicating challenges, sharing vision, handling conflict, a total 3-session training from new leaders to C-suite to just help you build how you communicate and share messaging to your team. This is not a presentation training. It is something to help you strengthen your skills as a communicator so that you can expand your influence. And to get on the list for that, go to worldclasstraining.net/grow. That's worldclasstraining.net/grow, because we will be announcing the class in the next few weeks, and you want to be the first to be in the know. So make sure you connect. Now, on for our guest, Miss Angela Wynn. Angela is a seasoned operations and business strategy professional with more than 20 years of experience in corporate administration, workflow design, and executive support. She currently serves as Director of Stewardship and Donor Relations at Tennessee State University, where she focuses on aligning organizational systems with long-term mission and impact. Angela holds a BBA in Marketing from Howard University, an MBA in Human Resource Management from the University of Phoenix, and is pursuing a Doctorate of Education at Tennessee State University. She has demonstrated a deep commitment to community leadership through service with organizations such as YWCA of Nashville and Middle Tennessee, NeedLink Nashville, statewide organizing for community empowerment, and Public Schools Strong Tennessee. Believe it or not, this lady is a mother of 5. She has survived domestic abuse, and she is a nationally recognized advocate for women and children, using her lived experience, resilience, and leadership to advance equity, empowerment, and systemic change across Tennessee. And she is a power woman. Hey, how are you?
Hey, girl. Hey.
Oh my goodness. I have to tell people, as I read Angela's bio, I mentioned that she's a mother of 5, wife. She takes care of her father. She is a powerhouse, and she does it all. I don't know how she does. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. You somehow get the job done. And she was the we're ending our terms now at the Alumni Club of Nashville, Middle Tennessee, but she served as the vice president of the Howard University Alumni Club of Nashville and Middle Tennessee. And so I got to know her because we were Batman and Robin. Chartering that brand new club. It was definitely a labor of love. So, yes. Thank you so much for joining me, my Howard sister. And she got all her
Hey,
vice background.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I
You
appreciate
are
it.
welcome. So, what I did not tell the people is that Angela is also currently running for state senator in Rutherford County. So, if you have not already, you see right there her Instagram, a win for Senate. Make sure to connect to her. Is that it? The same handle on Facebook and Instagram?
Yep, same channel across all platforms, and my website is awinforsenate.com.
awinforsenate.com. So make sure to connect
Yeah.
to her. And, in addition to, of course, it being Women's History Month, and I know a lot of great women, I wanted to not only end with you because you are, my Howard alum, but also because Angela, truly, I've mentioned it several times, that I see that your plate is incredibly full, but somehow you get it done and you get it done with an attitude of love, which some people find difficult to do. They may help you or they may, move through whatever they need to move through with their families, but the energy that they're bringing to the space is sometimes one where you almost wish they didn't help, right?
Yeah.
So, before we get into some of the details about you, just share kind of what is your overall um, and maybe it's not a mantra that you have necessarily internalized, but it became your guiding light for how you're able to juggle so many different balls, so to speak, in your life and still do it all with a sense of amazing grace.
Yeah, I think for me, it's that mantra of if not me, then who?
Mm,
Right. I always tell myself that number one, I want to put myself in a place where I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, something that I feel like I'm being called to do. And that just makes it easy for me to kind of traverse and get through those kind of things. The harder things, like taking care of my father, it's definitely an if not me, then who, right? Because at the
okay.
end of the day, I'm all about community and I'm all about making sure that we are all lifting each other up. What I always say is when we lift each other up, we all get ahead. So that's kind of that's the mindset that I always have. I'm always wanting to help other people prosper and just hope that karma brings it back to me.
So as you're doing that, because that is important to have that, if not me then who mentality, but there's also this ideal that's out there now that women and people in general are carrying a lot of weight, right? And so
Hmm.
we go through this. uh, I've heard often that women, we have to own our space of rest and we have to learn how to say no.
Yes.
Where do you place boundaries and how do you find rest in the midst of it all when, yeah, if not you it is, if not anyone else it is you, and you know what you have to do, but you also need to be true to who you are and what you want to gain out of this thing called life.
Yeah. So I'm very intentional about my time.
Okay.
One of the things my previous AVP, she liked it, but it would also get on her nerves. I plan out all my time off at the beginning of the year
Okay.
because what I found is in the past, I would work, 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 hit a wall, and then wouldn't
Mhm.
be able to take any time off or felt like I couldn't take any time off because
Right.
of whatever, deadline or whatever project or whatever we have to do. So now I incorporate days in the calendar ahead of time. So, because I know me, right? I'm gonna go and go and go, but now I have that rest already entered into my calendar year, right? So that's the
Okay.
first step. That's the first step. The
That's
second thing is knowing how much I can do at one time. I say no a lot,
okay.
right? And I'm not afraid to say no.
Okay.
And I think and yeah, and I think that's very important for people to learn and understand. It's okay to say no,
Yep.
right? Because you don't want to stretch yourself out so thin that you're not even able to help the people that you're already helping,
That's true.
right?
So
So for
true.
me that's been a huge thing is learning to say no, um, definitely expressing my boundaries. My son Deuce is really, really good at that, right? I remember he was at church one time and Miss Andrea said, "Can I get a hug, Deuce?" And he looked at her and very plainly said, "No,
Right.
no."
Yeah.
And that's it. No, it's a sentence. Full stop.
Full
And it's
stop.
full stop. And people should learn not to be offended by that, because it's just somebody protecting their boundaries and protecting their peace.
And it's full stop without apology and
Hmm.
without excuse. We
Yes.
have to be comfortable saying no and not feeling the need to add on I'm gonna
An
call it a white lie,
explanation.
right? We gotta
Hmm.
explain it, even if it's I shouldn't even say a white lie, or it may be the truth. We should be able to say no because
Hmm.
no is just the answer. Because
Yeah.
for this particular moment, it may be setting a boundary because this is not a safe space. It could be a time boundary, or it could just be because guess what? I don't want to do
I don't
that.
want to. Hmm.
Right.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm with you on that, girl.
I have gotten so, and I think by us being more comfortable saying no, to your point about why you're able to handle so many things, it frees us up to say yes to more things that are important to where we're heading in life.
Yes.
My son said, he called me the other day. I didn't even know we were go here, but he called me just, I think it was Friday, Thursday or Friday. And after we've been a part of the Howard Alumni Association, I'm president, she's vice president. We are working hard, y'all.
Hard.
Uh, Not that we want to check, but there's no check to this. Okay. So my son called me. He said, Mama, God told me that you shouldn't quit because they're not gonna do anything. And I said, first of all, I said, it's already been done. We've already turned in the letter. I said, I said, we're gonna make sure that it's, done decently and in order. But the point is, like I told him, when I really think about the next place that I'm trying to head, that cannot be on my plate. And
Yeah.
so it's a good thing, but for me right now, that's not a God thing. And so it has to go.
I
So yeah,
love
we have
that.
to be okay with that.
I love
Yeah,
that. Not a
girl,
good thing, but a God thing. And it's
it's
and
a
it's
God
so true, right? Like, you are about to go back to school to get your
thing.
doctorate. I'm like
Hmm.
somewhat pursuing mine, but also campaigning for a very
Yes,
important seat. And
right.
I feel like what we've done over the past year and change with the Howard Club is we've shown people that it can be done.
That's right.
Right?
That's
If
it.
you truly
Right.
if you truly want to do it, it can actually be done. And I
That's
think
right.
that that's from both of us, right?
Yes.
We can come, we stepped up, we show improved, and now we're like, hey, we've done what we need to do. We've established a foundation. Now it's time for the next people to come in.
That's right. Absolutely. Yep.
Hmm.
That's right. And again, without excuse and without apology, it's time for us to move
Yes.
on and for us to give way to the next person. So, with that being said, thinking about your next step, I'm so proud of you too. Uh, Angela just texted me one day, but she knows she can't just text me with that. Uh, I'm running for Senate, right? She was gonna be president. She's like, I can't be president, and I'm running for Senate. I'm like, okay.
You're not the only person that said that too. My other girl, she like called me immediately. She was like, that's not something that you text somebody, Angela.
Right. I'm like, you tasted it like, oh yeah, I'm about to come pick you up in a minute. I'm just like, girl, just no, that is something that requires a conversation. Oh goodness. But I am so happy that you are, not only because I know you're a caring person, I know that you also are one who's not afraid to share your voice to things that matter to you, which I love about you as well. So tell everyone what you're running for and why now is the moment.
Okay. So I'm running for state senate in District 13 here in the beautiful state of Tennessee. And I started my journey advocating for public schools in Rutherford County, right? Like, I've always been an advocate more on the national level with domestic violence, but when COVID came and they weren't trying to require children to have masks in school, I decided that that was my time to get up. And it wasn't even about advocacy. It was more so about, I don't want my children or anybody's children in a school where they could catch this illness, because I
Right.
had it before there were vaccines. And it
Okay.
took a long, long time. I was sick for 3 months and then I still carried some of those symptoms. I'm just now finally getting over them. And I don't want anybody's kid to experience that, right? Because my kid
Right.
actually gave me COVID. And so there was a group that was started on Facebook called Safe RCS. And I joined the group immediately because that's what they were working on, right? And so I started talking about, you know, their sayings of we want to see our kids smile and, you know, all of these other things. And what I told
Mhm.
people was, yes, people are ignorant to what is happening around them. Yes, people may not necessarily understand the seriousness of this disease, but also it is very clear that there is a movement happening down here where they are playing with people's emotions and trying to
Mm.
build their base. And
Okay.
so that's kind of where I was like, okay, I really need to start being more active.
Right.
And so I did a lot of stuff for Public School Strong, which is an initiative started by SOCM, Statewide Organization for Community Empowerment,
Okay.
and just really digging into that, fighting against, you know, charter schools that shouldn't be here because they're teaching curriculum that doesn't align with what history actually is. I remember
Mhm.
I was on a panel one time, and you're against charter. I'm not against charter schools. My
Right.
boss is the head of one of the biggest public charter schools in Nashville. It's
Okay.
more
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
about what are they teaching my kids, right? If you're
Right.
not teaching real history, I don't want you here. So it was
Right.
that, and then it moved on to vouchers, and that's where I think I kind of had more of a cross-state presence because I
Okay.
then became one of the main advocates for Public School Strong. So to be honest, we really thought the next move for me was going to be to run for school board.
Okay.
And it was crazy because I told them, I said, I will run because I know nobody else is running, right? If not
Mhm.
me, then who? And I know that
Right.
we need to take our school board back. Well, after I accepted, I actually found out that there was another candidate running independent. And so I had a conversation with our former school board chair. And
Okay.
after she told me about, you know, the woman's experience, the support that she has on both sides of the aisle, it was very easy for me to say, well, let me step back and support someone that not only has 35 years of experience, you know what I mean, in school, in
Right.
administration. Let me go ahead and support her. So after that, I was like, well, maybe politics isn't for me, right? We thought that was going
Okay.
to be the
Mhm.
natural step. So I was like, yeah, it's fine, it's cool. But then I get
Right.
a text message saying, hey, have you ever thought about running for state senate? And that's something that I had never thought about ever before in
Right.
my life. So I'm like,
Right.
whatever, I'm gonna talk to my husband, I'll get back to you. And so after I gotten a couple of more messages and I talked to one of the directors on the state level, it really showed me that this is actually where I should be. I have so
Okay.
many things that I'm passionate about that I really want to be in the room, you know what I'm saying, helping to make these
Right.
decisions instead of
Right.
being on the outside fighting against decisions that should have never been made in the first place, right?
Okay.
So kind of
Mhm.
being able to take everything that I'm passionate about, domestic violence, intimate partner abuse, maternal health, especially Black maternal health, and
Mhm.
public schools. I can take all of these things and be the voice of District 13 in the state house, and that's something that's important to me. I want to be a voice for the voiceless. I
Yep.
was actually on a radio show last week, and someone was
Mhm.
asking about lobbyists, like why don't we have lobbyists, you know, helping with the public school stuff? And I said because lobbyists cost money. I said, but
Right.
that's really my job. My job is to be your lobby. My job is to
Right.
take your concerns to the state level and make sure that your voices are heard so we can start making moves to solve the problems that we have in our district.
Mhm. Okay, very good. So as you're
Mhm,
thinking about some of your primary um, platform components,
mhm.
I'm sure education is one from what I'm hearing. What are some of the other
Yes.
kind of top buckets that you want to impact when you get to the Senate?
Yeah. So the biggest thing for me next to public education is women's health. And
Hmm.
specifically talking about maternal health. We have legislators who are so pro birth, and I call them pro
Okay.
birth, they are not pro life, because if they were pro life, then they would put more care into the women that are, into the people that are carrying these children instead
Yes.
of punishing them and taking away the access to the health care that they need in order to
Hmm.
be healthy and to have a
Hmm.
healthy pregnancy. When I first started my work a few years ago, Tennessee was number 3 in the bottom, right, when it comes to
Okay.
maternal health care. Since Roe
Okay.
v. Wade has gone and that trigger law went in effect for us, which means abortion was automatically banned. We're now number one in the country for when it comes to disparities and deaths among our pregnant women
Is
here in
that
this state.
right? Oh my
Yes, it is.
goodness.
And when
So
you
is
think
that
about
because go ahead.
no, so I was going to say, when you think about that, right, you also have to think about the fact that Black women are 3 times more likely to die than any other woman in the state of Tennessee. So not only do I feel like this is a problem for people who are pregnant, but it's also a problem for us as Black women.
Okay. So is the reason that the death rate is so high because, and I'm not even sure if this is the case, is Tennessee, is it against the law to have an abortion? Yeah, I
Yeah,
think. Okay.
yes. As soon as Roe v. Wade passed, what happened was is Tennessee created a trigger law, which
Okay.
meant that as soon as Roe v. Wade was overturned, that we would automatically ban abortion. So it is
Okay.
illegal to have an abortion here in the state of Tennessee. And so for me, that's one of the reasons why, right? Because women need that kind of health care. What people don't understand is abortion is not necessarily you going and, getting rid of your baby. It is a
Right.
medical procedure. So, for
Right.
example, if a woman is experiencing a miscarriage and she is not dispelling what she needs to, that causes for the doctors to have to actually go in and be able to remove the rest of it so that the
Right.
mom doesn't end up bleeding out, right? And then what's even worse than that is that when you have these types of archaic laws on the books, abortions don't stop, right? People are still going to seek them. They're just not going to be safe. So then we see an
Exactly.
uptick of women who are doing these backdoor abortions that they used to do back in the day. When our parents and our grandparents were coming up, that's what they were doing, and that's what we want to avoid. We do not want women putting themselves out on the line trying to get access to health care that she should be
Right.
able to get access to, right?
Absolutely.
We want to talk about banning abortions and things like that. Okay, then why aren't we talking more about what men need to be doing in order to help solve this maternal crisis, right?
Very
what
true.
can
Right.
what can men do on their part, because we're not making these babies by ourselves,
That
right?
part is
and
so
this
true.
is what and this
Mhm.
is what happens when you have men in power that are trying to control women's bodies when they don't even know how a woman's body
Yeah.
functions.
Okay. Right.
Hmm.
That's very true. That's true.
Hmm.
So I love that you're making that one of your campaign focuses because we do need to look at that. And there's no reason for, I mean, even in high school, I had a friend who was just so afraid. It wasn't that it was illegal, but she was so afraid of what her mom would say. She
Hmm.
ended up doing one of those uh, backdoor deals, and I still have the visual today of the after effect of when that
Yeah.
happened. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a very dangerous thing. And we do need to make sure that women feel comfortable
Hmm.
making the decision if, in fact, there's a situation where they could be harmed by carrying a child
To
to
term.
term.
Yeah.
To term, exactly right. We want everybody to be safe, and you're right. It's a twofold uh, two-sided conversation because there are men and there are
Hmm.
women, and so men have to understand that these
Hmm.
are, as they say, it's a woman's body. It is a woman's body. So, but
It
I
is definitely a
understand.
woman's body.
Yeah. So, okay. So we got healthcare. We got women's health. What else? Give me one more.
Let's see. What do I have on my big four? Transportation. So,
Mm,
I really wasn't even thinking about this until after we had the ice storms and
okay.
I-24. It's just a hot damn mess. And it was crazy because you could tell the difference between the Rutherford County side of I-24 and Davidson County side of
Okay.
I-24, right? So
Hmm.
that's one of the things that I want to talk about too. How can we help better build our infrastructure, especially because we are growing at such a rapid rate?
We
And
are.
it's like it's great that all of these people are coming, but what about our streets? We live in a very rural area, right? And our subdivision, there's probably like 5 or 6 subdivisions in our community alone. And the
Okay.
one street that we have to go, it's like 2 lanes. And that's not
Okay.
sufficient for all of these
Right.
people that are coming in, all these houses that are being built. So infrastructure is also something that is hugely important to me, and not just necessarily talking about like roads, highways, things like that, but also the other things like our schools. All of our
Hmm.
schools are at or over capacity right now. So that's another thing that we really need to be focusing on is how are we going to be able to provide public school education for the children that are coming? How are we going to be able to provide public services to all of these people that are
Right.
coming into Rutherford County? Like it's great that we're getting bigger. I love it because we're bringing more progressive people into the county, but at the same time, we are so behind on infrastructure stuff. That's really something that needs to be looked at.
Okay, that sounds good. I love those three. Now, let me ask
Mhm.
you this. As a woman, this is Women's History Month. Um, Going into those spaces, let's say you get elected, because we know you're going to get elected, and you're going to go into you are going to go into spaces that are male dominated, right?
Mhm.
And so women, I don't want to generalize too much, but I'm about to generalize a little bit. Women sometimes, when they go into those spaces where they're male dominated, they their voice, I won't say it's silenced, but it can become minimized because there are a
Mhm.
lot of people who are going to, come against you, or they may have adverse thoughts or responses to whatever you're saying. So, how do you plan to, or what advice can you give to women to move through those challenges when they're going into spaces where the people either are senior, or they're it's male dominated, or it's something where you're going to be new to the space, but of course why you
Yeah.
want to have this role. So how do you move through that?
Yeah, so let me think about that. I guess I never really think about it, right? I've been on the Hill so many times and talked to so many legislators that it's really just like drinking water for me.
Mhm,
I think
mhm.
I've also been blessed with supporting very high level ADHD white male executives, and
Okay.
trying to get your point across to them is probably one of the hardest things that I'd ever have to do. So
Okay.
it's more about how you converse with someone, right? Like I was on a panel, and sitting to the right of me was the president of a private school, Christian private school in Nashville,
Okay.
and I was there just in my public school strong T-shirt, my jeans, and here he is suited and booted, and he's looking at me like, oh, this little, mom, oh, it's so nice to meet you. What's your
Right.
name? And so after, we had a little back and forth, whatever, whatever. And so they go to reading everybody's bios on the panel. And so when they get to my bio, he turns and he's like, and I said, yes, sir. Don't let the optics
Don't
fool
let it fool
you,
you.
right?
Okay.
And that's the thing that I like. When you come in and you're actually speaking facts to these people,
Yes.
they're going to listen. Even if they
Right.
don't want to, they will at least sit and respect you as if they're
Right.
listening. And I've
Yes.
never really had a problem on the Capitol with getting my opinion across to people. I do remember one time I had a legislator tell me that the school board is bound by whatever decisions they make. And I was like, actually, no, they're actually bound by what we want them to do. And I have to
Mhm.
constantly remind them, like, you do realize that we pay your check,
Right.
right? And that's what people
Mhm.
need to understand. These people don't hold power over us.
Right.
We need to start exerting our power over them.
Right.
We are
That's
the
right.
reasons why they are in those seats. And if we
That's
feel
right.
like that they are not doing what they're supposed to do, then we need to tell them very frankly and very plainly, we will vote you out. So that's what
Mhm.
people should understand. You have power in your voice, period.
Mhm.
And if you did not have power in your voice, that the first time that the vouchers got overturned, that would never have happened if we hadn't had people up at the Capitol talking to legislators, not even their legislators, but legislators that they knew were on the fence, so that you could go in and talk to them and kind of sway their opinion another way. And thankfully we were able to do that cycle. So I always want people to understand, like, especially when you're talking to someone and you are the expert about it, right?
Right.
That's the
Right.
attitude that you need to keep. I'm
Mhm.
teaching you
Mhm.
something right now. You're
That's
not
right.
teaching me anything, so let me put you up on game.
Exactly. I love that. And I love that you said, hey, you know what? You have to talk to people who are on the, as they say, the other side of the aisle.
Yes.
We cannot have a crab, what is it called? Crab in a barrel
Crabs in a barrel
mentality,
mentality.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
try to make massive difference. You've got to have those, as they say, uncomfortable conversations in order to reach a better whole. And oftentimes it's really you know, I've looked at some people and I've thought, okay, this person may either look adversarial or they may look unapproachable, but it's by just crossing that line, having some general conversation,
Mm-hmm.
I get a totally different perspective. It's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this person is actually a great person. And it may not always result in us aligning in our thought, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a great way to build a bridge. And if we don't win this time together, we may be able to win the next time. But having that, hey, you know what, this is my line in the sand, I'm not crossing it because of this person, is not the best way to, I think, achieve greater results.
No, not at all. And especially
Yeah.
right now, you know, our school board has been so adversive for so long, but
Mm.
at the same time, we've been able to get good work out of them when our opinions align. So
Align.
that's when I tell folks, you know, just because they're on the other side does not mean that they are always against you,
That's right.
right?
Exactly.
Like,
Right.
for example, our school board was against vouchers, which is crazy because our school board right now is super right, like super, super right. And people
Mm-hmm.
would automatically think that that's their party, that's what they're going to go along with, but no, they're not. Sometimes
Okay.
you just have to reach out to someone and talk to them because they may not even fully understand, you know, what the subject is or what they're voting on or anything like that. I was up at the Capitol last week talking about the IVF bill that's on the table right now, where they're trying to not restrict it, but require extra credentials in order for doctors to be able to practice in it. And so we were talking about it, and he turns and he's like, "Well, what is IVF? I don't think I know anything about that." And I wasn't shocked or anything. I said, "Well, what happens in IVF is," and then I went on
Right.
ahead and started explaining it. And
Right.
when we got out of the meeting, my colleague said to me, she was like, "I think he knew what it was." I said, "I don't care if he did or if he didn't know. You want to ask me questions like that? I'm going to go ahead and provide you with the information."
Exactly. He
Mhm.
is the one who said he didn't know. So it's not up to you to determine whether or not what he
You
said
don't
is
know, babe.
true or not.
Let me
Let's
tell you.
educate.
And I broke it down. I really,
Okay.
really did because
Okay.
it's like women's health is so under attack in this country, and it really makes me angry because they just keep stripping us of the things that we need in
Mm-hmm.
order for us to be healthy and happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's funny because you know people that don't have kids don't necessarily think they have a leg in the game when it comes to this, but I always say we are a community,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what
Mm-hmm.
affects one of us is eventually going to affect all of
That is
us,
true.
right?
Right.
When I'm
Exactly.
doing when I was on the radio a couple of weeks ago, and the host was like, you know, well, I don't have any kids in school anymore, right? All my kids are grown, and so I don't have a stake in the game. I said, actually, you do.
You
I said
do. Right.
these kids that are in the school system right now are going to be the ones who are going to be leading this country in the future.
That's
They're going to
right.
be our future doctors, our future lawyers, our future chefs, our future
That's right.
politicians. Like
That's
these
right.
kids are our future. So we all have a collective mission to make sure
Right.
that the kids are going to be okay.
That's
That's it.
right.
That's all.
And a stake in the game. That's right. I
Yeah.
mean, and I
Yeah.
even see my son is graduated too, but you know, when I see the young ones, I've seen a couple of maybe I want to say maybe mid-20s. And what I'm concerned with is the impact that cell phones has had on their ability to communicate
Yes.
effectively.
Yes.
Their heads are down. They don't really articulate well. And these were just a couple of that I saw recently. There may be some who have
Hmm.
gotten beyond that, but what was interesting was I saw Mark Zuckerberg and the YouTube people were recently lost like a $375 million lawsuit. Did you see that? Yeah, the young lady they
Yeah.
sued saying that the
Yeah.
social media stuff has negatively impacted outcomes of people who were teenagers, and so
Yeah.
that's one thing that I really would like to see addressed, because to your point about, this person saying, hey, I don't have a leg in the game now because my kids are grown. No, we are still all a part of this race that's called human. And we
Yes.
want our next generation who will be leading us to be able to lead by being able to think critically, to communicate well, to be able to strategize effectively. And we can't turn a blind eye to that and just say, just because my kid is not there, I don't care, or it doesn't matter to me,
No.
because it absolutely does still matter.
Yeah, I mean, people need to understand and realize that, the average reading level of adults in this country is like sixth grade. And
Mm,
when it comes to newspapers, media, things like that, I found out that they make sure to write in like between eighth and 12th grade reading level, because a
mhm.
lot of people in this country, like, their reading levels aren't acceptable. And
Right,
that's just that is a huge reason why we're going through what we're going through right now.
right,
Right? Why
right,
we're
right,
having all this antagonistic things happening, because people don't necessarily understand or can be able to critically think about the things that are happening to them right now, right?
right,
All they
right.
see is what's happening on the television in front of them right now, right? Like right now the focus is on Iran and the war, when yes, we should be focusing on that too, but we also need to be holding our leaders accountable for having a whole ass child sex trafficking operation that
Mhm.
our president was heavily involved in. Like, if not now, then when, right? When are we going to be able to stand up and say like, yo, this is enough? And we need to start doing things to make sure that not only are the grown-ups okay, but we're teaching our children to come up in a world so that this doesn't happen again.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. So, so true.
Mhm.
We're already at 37 minutes. I could probably talk to you forever. But I'm going to quickly, I'm just going to transition. I want to share a little bit about the work that you do, because it's different. And I mean, in your day, 9 to 5. Um, Angela is also, is it the donor director of
Stewardship
stewardship
and
and
donors.
donor relations at Tennessee
Mhm.
State University. That's a big title, big job. What is that exactly, and how did you get started in that field?
Yeah, so my job at Tennessee State University as Director of Stewardship and Donor Relations is to first and foremost provide transparency to our donors about where their money is going.
Mm-hmm,
One of the
mm-hmm.
big things that I discovered when I started working at Tennessee State University is I didn't have a real robust donor management system, and it's really hard to be able to, speak to your donors, especially in a more personalized manner, if you don't have a system that actually provides you with the information, the details that you need to be able to speak knowledgeably
Okay.
to our donors. So that's the first thing that I wanted to do, right? I wanted to be able to provide transparency so folks know not only when they gave, but where that money went to. And the
Right.
same thing goes for our corporate partners, right? Whenever we are working with corporate partners, whenever you see us, shouting them out at the homecoming games or things like that, when we enter into these agreements with them, we have deliverables that we have to make, right?
Okay.
So, for
Right.
example, we have agreement with a bank, and if they'll give us a certain amount of money, and what we provide for them is, we may give our kids, well, not our kids, our students. We provide our students with financial literacy courses that they give and moderate. And so we are providing them with access to our students while they are giving us money. And so my
Okay.
job is to make sure that those things do happen.
Right.
And then the last part of my role, which is the one that I truly love the most, is just thanking our donors for
Mm-hmm.
being with us, right? For
Mm-hmm.
continuing to give even throughout the hard time that Tennessee State University is having right now, right?
Right.
And that's the thing that I say to our donors all the time. TSU people love, love, love Big Blue. And, as someone who is finally able to call herself a TSU
Right.
student,
Uh-huh.
like that,
Uh-huh.
we love this institution, right?
Yes.
And I truly believe being able to kind of tell folks what their funds have done in order to help our students be successful, then that encourages them to say, hey, I made a difference. Let me continue making that difference.
That's right.
So yeah, so that's the meat and bones of my position. How I got started, when I first moved to Nashville, I was pregnant and didn't have a job. So I said, well, if I'm gonna spend my time doing stuff, I want to volunteer. Where can I volunteer at?
Okay.
And that's when I found YWCA of Nashville and Middle Tennessee. So I started just volunteering with them, going out to table events and things like that. And then
Mm-hmm.
I found out about their junior board committee,
Okay.
basically their young professional board. And so I did that. I joined that immediately, applied for it and joined it, was able to get on. I shared my story with them. And so they knew how close this was to me. And so I did that for a couple of years. And then I was actually president of the Junior Board Society for a couple of years. And so I had left a job that I absolutely loved. And I told myself, you know what? I'm just not going to do anything. I'm going to do me. That's it. And then I got an email from uh, the engagement manager at the Y, and she said, hey, they're looking for a senior director for fundraising. And she said, I really think that you should apply for it. And so I did. And when I went in, the people at the Y already know me. They've seen my skills when it comes to fundraising. I
Right.
actually started, what we wanted to do is we wanted the junior board to kind of mimic the big board because
Okay.
I really wanted to provide them with the leadership skills that they would need if they ever wanted to be on a big board, right? Because that's why people join the young professional boards. And so
Right.
one of the things that I instituted and really drove home hard is recurring giving.
Okay.
So big board members have big money that they have to give every
Right.
year, when they're on the board. Young
Mm-hmm.
professionals don't necessarily have that much money to give, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we
Mm-hmm.
set it very low. And what I would encourage them to do, just $25 a month, do it on
Okay.
recurring, set it and forget it. And that made a huge difference, right? So because I was able to level up the professionalism of the junior board and they've seen how hard I have fundraised for them in the past, it was just an easy transition for me to come in and say, you've seen what I do. I have the transferable skill set. Here I am.
Here I
And
am. Right.
so,
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
and so that's how I ended up at the Y. And it was a really, really great experience. And then I was asked to lunch by my former EVP at TSU, and she kind of sat me down and she said, I see what you're doing. She said, how would you like to do it on a more national level?
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding. And so now that's why I'm at Tennessee State
And
University.
you got to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen.
It's crazy because fundraising is not something that people necessarily seek out to do as a job. You kind of fall
Exactly.
into it. Whenever you
Right.
talk to somebody who's in development, they fell into it, and I definitely fell into it. But
Okay.
it really takes a certain personality and type to be able to do this job, and
Right.
not only to do it, but to do it well.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But you have a background in marketing, and in a lot of ways, donor relations, that's marketing, right? Because you
That's
have
all it
to,
is.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, I always
So,
tell folks like I got my degree in marketing because marketing makes you look good. And then I got my master's in human resources so I could better understand people. And so
okay,
I
right.
really love
Uh-huh.
being able to combine those skills right into the work that I do.
That's right. Yeah. And to your point about that part, I never forget I was in Heartburn, I believe it was, training some people. And one of the supervisors, he said to me, he said, you know what, Dawn? It's like being a leader or manager, it's like I have to be a psychiatrist or psychologist or one of those two. I said, well, yeah, it's pretty much that
Yes.
because it's a head game before it's ever an execution game. You got to get into
Yes.
how people think. It is so important, so important. And with that, I'm going to ask you one question because this is the Leaders Lounge. So, as the director, you've had several leadership roles.
Hmm.
What would you say is integral to being able to get teams to align around your vision if you're a new leader?
It's a good question. I think the easiest thing is to sit and talk and understand what everybody's stake in the game is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
As a good leader will always ensure that their people are working best in their unique ability. So that's where I come in at, right? here is what I want to do, and what
Mhm.
I want to do clearly involves all of you. So let's sit and talk about how you feel like you can how you can move forward and help, get the guide this mission and get it to where it needs to be, right? Like I had to build an executive team. And
Mhm.
what I did is you get the right people in the organization, and then you
Right.
figure out what they're good at, and then you put them in the right places, right? For
Mhm.
me, I'm not hiring you for just a job, or I don't want you to be here for just a job. I want you to come in knowing that this is a team effort, and
Right.
everybody's skill set is going to be applied to whatever mission that we're looking
Right.
for, right? I always like to meet people where they are.
Mhm.
I know we're all human beings, right? I had an assistant who was going through things at home, and while it was tearing me up inside because I really needed her to be at work, people
Right.
can't work when they have other things going on. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
I told her, I said, hey, I'm going to give you grace. This is what it is. And when she came back, she worked 3 times harder for me.
Okay. Mhm. Mhm.
And that's what we need to do, right? We need to present ourselves as leaders, but also with our team understanding that I'm here for you, right? I want to make sure that your life is easier so that you can come to work and do your job and make me look good.
Absolutely. It's leading with care. You got to
Yeah.
lead with that care. And that piece about coming in, I had another person who just became an executive director who I was discussing with someone else. And one thing that we talked about was that for the first 60 to 90 days that this person is an ED, no real changes to what's
Yeah.
going on should be taking place other
Yeah.
than assessing the skill and will of the leadership team.
Yep.
What are their what are the things they do well and what do they desire to do? That should
Yes.
be the assessment, and from there you get informed as to what your next steps should be and how you either
Mhm.
train, develop, or make adjustments on the in the organization. So yeah, no, I love that you said that because sometimes leaders want to get in and automatically, I'm the new person. Let me just
Mm-mm.
come in, shaking stuff.
Mm-mm.
No,
Nah.
no,
Y'all been here, right?
right,
Y'all have been here. Y'all tell me what you see has worked, what hasn't worked. Let's talk
right.
about it, right?
Yes,
Because
yes,
I'm new in town, and I don't know everything, and I will not pretend to know everything. So let's have a
right.
general discussion about what the issues are and how we can resolve them together.
Right. Discuss and then
Mhm.
assess, because sometimes people will tell you they can do stuff and they really can't. So the other
Oh
thing that I
yeah.
think is really important is to do those assessments of really where are their skill sets, because you want to make sure that what they're saying lines up with what they're doing. So yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and I also tell leaders too, like you can't be afraid to tell somebody when they're fucking up, right? Like, and it doesn't, yeah, because sometimes, and I see it all the time where people just let shit go, and it's just you can't do that. You have to address it head on, or
Yes.
it's gonna make your whole entire team implode. I
Yes.
had an employee, and she was great. I thought that she was really passionate about what she was doing, but she was clearly lying about some stuff that she had been doing or had not been doing or
Okay.
whatever. And it's
Hmm.
like it's nothing
Hmm.
personal or anything like that. But if you say that you can do this and then you end up not doing it, then you have to see a side of me that you don't necessarily want, right? And I'm never, and it's not even like me being mean or anything
No.
like that. It's just sometimes people don't like to be held accountable, and I'm an accountability person,
Right. Right.
right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold your hand to the fire, and if I'm telling you X and you're giving me Y,
Yeah.
make it make sense.
And I tell leaders, I said, the first time they mess up, they're the problem. The second time you haven't addressed it and they mess up on the same thing, you are the problem, because you know what?
Listen,
You failed to have the discussion that you needed to have or make the adjustment
yeah,
you need to make. And so then you become the problem.
you put exactly like I had that same person. I think she was in her role for 90 days, and one of my
Mhm.
colleagues, she said, I have never seen someone get turned around in that amount of time. I said, because I
Okay.
don't have time for it. I
Right.
don't.
That's
I,
it.
I need
Right.
people who are on the team who
Right.
want to function at a certain level,
Right.
want to do the job, and can actually accept feedback when you're giving it to them.
That's right.
Hmm.
That's so, so true. So true.
Hmm.
So I got a few quick questions and then we're going to
Yeah,
wrap up and I'm going to let you enjoy your day. Thank you for your time first, always. All right. First
always.
question. What or which woman inspires you?
Which woman inspires me? Ooh, that is a good question. There are just so many. So I just posted yesterday about my adopted mom, Raimi. She's my best friend's mom. I've known her since I
Okay.
was 11. And the reason why she inspires me so much is because she's just so passionate about everything that she believes in.
Mm,
She took me in as her daughter. She took my kids in as her grandkids, and not she cares about things,
okay.
right? She sent
Right.
me a picture from her being at the No Kings March, with a
Mm-hmm.
sign that she said, I knew you'd be proud. But the thing about it is, she has so many chronic illnesses, and I'm talking
Mm,
about debilitating, like in bed for days, can't
mm,
move type, but she is still out here speaking with passion, speaking truth to the masses, and knowing that she still has a responsibility as a community member to
okay.
speak out against what's wrong, especially for those that she thinks can't do it for themselves. So
Right.
she's always been someone who has inspired me. She really truly taught me what being a mom is.
Okay.
And then on the other side of that, I know people always think that I would automatically say my grandma Sunny. My grandma Sunny was my best friend. I still miss her to this day, every day. Did she inspire me? Yes, she inspired me to be the best person that I could be, because at a
Nice.
time she was the only person telling me what a good person I was. And
Oh,
so it's those two women that keep me going on a regular basis.
oh, that's so sweet. I just got chills on that second one. I'm like, wonderful. Very sweet. What phrase, word, sentence even would you share with women um, to just know how amazing, great, wonderful we are?
Mhm. Give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give yourself grace. We are
Mm-hmm.
not going to be on it all the time. And I
Mm-mm.
used to fall for that every single time. I mess up, and it's a head game for an entire
Mm-hmm.
week. And then it's like a domino effect, because then you just
Mm-hmm.
keep messing up, keep messing up, keep
Mm-hmm.
messing up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can stop
Mm-hmm.
and say to yourself, okay, I know that I can do this. Maybe there's something that's like kind of keeping me from doing this right now. Like really being able to step back and say, like, okay, I can do this right now. I need to give myself grace, because if I keep
Mm-hmm.
pushing, it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. As you were saying that, I talked to a young lady yesterday and she was talking about her parents. And, she said, yeah, I always have to think about this is their first time doing this, right? And so for us, as we're doing things, we have to understand. I said, oh my goodness, that's just a powerful statement in and of itself.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
our first time. It's our first time living March 29th, 2026. And when we own that part, then we can walk in more grace.
Yeah.
I'm doing this day for the first time in my life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
Yes,
my
yeah.
auntie used to say, you got to crawl before you can walk.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I
Mm-hmm.
think I think social media and the internet has done a horrible job of people thinking that they can do something for a week and then automatically they're just gonna blow up. And
Right.
I was victim to that too, years ago, before I was smart enough to get an executive coach. And if you all need executive coaching, you should probably get one. And this woman right here, that's the one that should be giving it to you. But
Okay.
yeah, that's that was how it was for me. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge lesson to learn.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, last question. What's a book that people should read on leadership, inspiration, whatever, anything?
This book
Oh,
right
I
here, The
have
Four
that one.
Agreements.
I have that one. Yes, yes, yes. And you know my favorite
There's
one is
this
always keep your word.
Yes,
Yes.
and it's so funny because I actually worked for a company where everybody had to read this book when they were
Mm-hmm.
onboarded, and then I realized he wanted us to read it because the one tenet about not taking anything personal, it's a
Yes.
really good tenet to have because
Yeah,
what you have to understand is that it's not always about you.
no,
99% of the time it's not about you,
it's
so
not
you
about
really
you.
need to learn not to take things personally. It's that
Yeah.
person, it's not you. But with him, it was him, and he
Okay.
wanted us to think that it was him. It's like, nah, bro, that's you. But yes,
This is
the
good, but
four
that's you.
agreements is
The
definitely a
four
good one.
agreements is so wonderful. Yes, my favorite is that be impeccable with your word because you gotta, yeah.
Yes.
If you say you're gonna do it,
Yeah,
do it. You need to say why you're not
man,
doing
do it.
it.
And if that part is
Yeah,
so easy. It's four things that are so simple. And when you take
right.
a step up from that, there are two other books, Crucial Conversations and
Okay.
Crucial Accountability. Those are important
Hmm.
too. Because I feel like
Okay.
people need to stop being so defensive when we're talking to each other, right? If I'm
Yes.
saying something to you and it's may not pick it, it's that it doesn't have anything to do with you, boo. You don't have to take
Right.
offense to it. We can have a
Right.
conversation and not agree with each other without, going back and forth and doing all of
That's
that
right.
disrespectful stuff. So like, yeah, the
Exactly.
four agreements is so important because people need to learn to be intentional with their word. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Not taking things personally. And yeah,
Hmm.
four
Yeah.
agreements, hands
Yeah.
down.
Very nice. Very nice. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. Y'all, please support a win for Senate. We are going to win with Angela Wynn. When is election day?
Election day is November 2nd.
November 2nd. So we got time. We're going to be campaigning this summer. Remember, I told you I promised
Yes.
you. You need me, let me know. I will be out there. Yes,
Yes.
yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
stay right there, Angela. I'm going to wrap up and then come back, okay?
Okay.
All right. All right, Angela Wynn, she is running for Senate for Rutherford County. So please make sure to connect to her online. A Wynn for Senate, AWYNN for Senate. And then always remember that, first of all, we have this program coming up, which is From Vision to Voice. We have the interest list that is starting now. So please go to worldclasstraining.net/grow. Please pick up my book, which is Unpacking Agape, the 7 Languages of Intentional Leadership at worldclasstraining.net/agape. We have so many great things coming for you, and you have to make sure that as a leader, you have kind of some of these basic principles in your arsenal. And then finally, at the World Class Training Institute and at the Leaders Lounge, always remember that when you are better, we are absolutely better. Take care.